Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Apologies for yesterday, but I had what's being called the man flu, but thankfully it didn't last too long. Political reflections. The language we heard from Pence is quite concerning because it shows we're moving toward a zero-sum game geopolitics in the Asia Pacific. The great hope of convergence between China and the US is becoming less and less of a likely reality. The meetings in Singapore and Papua New Guinea produced little to suggest Trump and Chinese counterpart Xi would reach a deal when they meet in a few weeks at the Group of 20 summit in Argentina. Pence also had stinging remarks for Xi's Belt and Road Initiative, which Morgan Stanley says may total $1.3 trillion by 2027, dwarfing the funds the US and its allies have mobilized. The Vice President said the US doesn't drown our partners in a sea of debt or offer a constricting belt or a one-way road. This is one episode in the hegemonic struggle between the US and China. It will go on for a while, said Kunihiko Miyake, a former Japanese foreign ministry official who is now a visiting professor at Ritsumeikan University. It will be a Cold War, whether we call it that or not. And my piece on 15th of October was about how war is coming, and I spoke about the incident with the USS Decatur, where a Chinese warship came within 45 yards of it. And I said that was surely a precursor. In that article, I was talking about Lighthizer and Peter Navarro having operated with surgical precision and introduced an anti-dragon clause. And the issue there is really there are two sides within the White House. These are the hardliners, anti-China. Tariff wars, who blinks first, from earlier this year. William Pesek in the Asia Times expect Trump to double down on the trade war with China, and I do too. Won't be pretty for policymakers, markets or investors in the most dynamic economic region. $505 billion worth of tariffs are coming. Trump has been teasing the idea of doubling the $250 billion worth of levies on Chinese goods. Pence's words suggest there will be no Trump 2.0 doctrine following the beating the Republican Party took in November 6th midterm elections. Pence's assurance that we're here to stay could mean a brutal 2019 for Asian stocks. One of Trump's biggest missteps on the world stage was believing President Xi Jinping, a fellow nationalist strongman, would buckle. Just as Trump maintaining his base requires him looking resolute, Xi's legitimacy in Communist Party circles relies on projecting Chinese strength. Bowing to the hate tweeter-in-chief isn't an option for a Chinese president aiming to be in office long after the Trump era. They unleashed a monster that can't be controlled now, the journalist said. You can't just put it back in a cage and hope it won't keep screaming. And then Arturo Carellis. First they came for the journalists. We don't know what happened after that. The problem with repressive regimes is they like to starve the imagination. They don't want you to think or imagine the possibilities of a different future. Boogie Wapionga. A horseback rider overlooks the US-Mexico border wall at Friendship Park in San Ysidro. The Maldives is reportedly planning to pull out of a free trade agreement with China as the island nation moves closer to India in the west after Ibrahim Mohammed Solih won the presidency in the September election. Underlying the shift from China's influence, Solih's office said Monday that the nation would rejoin Britain's Commonwealth of Nations. In a veiled reference to restrictions on freedom of speech and the jailing of opposition leaders under Yamin, the statement noted the importance of promoting human rights, freedom of expression and democracy.